Franklin D. Roosevelt proclaimed, "A self-supporting and self-respecting democracy can plead no justification for the existence of child labor." Well, we can say this is really relevant in the contemporary times as well, and does pose a grave question on the Indian state. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Maitri, co-lead of Project Korea, along with Devika, our team lead, would be your hosts for today. It's our utmost honor to have you all here for the panel discussion on breaking shackles of child labor. The problem of child labor is not new to India or worldwide. According to data from census of 2011, the number of child laborers in India is 10.1 million. Despite rates of child labor declining over the years, they're still being used in severe forms of child labor such as bonded labor, child soldiers, trafficking, etc. Across India, they can be found in a variety of industries: quarrying, mining, brick kilns, carpet weaving, garment making, and hazardous places. Through today's discussion, we aim to explore various economic and social factors behind this practice and its detrimental consequences. It's pertinent for the children to know their rights and the legal protection system in place. To maintain the inclusivity in the session, the discussion could be bilingual according to the language preferences of our panelists. Before beginning the session, I would request Ankita to deliver the welcome address.
I think Ankita is facing some network issues, so I'll go ahead with the welcome address. Good afternoon to everyone present here. I welcome all of you to the National Conference organized by Sarkari School and We Citizens Organization. It is my honor to welcome all the eminent speakers and panelists from across the country and from different walks of life who have gathered here to share their knowledge and vast experience with us. The theme of the conference is Enlightened Children of New India. Through this conference, we aim to talk about child labor and its impact on the education of school students. The title of this third panel discussion is Breaking the Shackles of Child Labor.
At the
To shed more light on this topic, we are
we
grateful
also
to
have with
have
us Varun Otari sir, who is a child right and human right activist. We are also delighted to have with us Kaki Likhita ma'am, who is academically inclined toward public policy and an administrative service, and Nisa ma'am, currently working as the head of business Honorable in. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again
thank
for all
you
of you to
again.
taking out your valuable time and being part of this important initiating panel discussion. I hope everyone who is today with us and is part of a conversation comes off as being inspired and more knowledgeable on this topic. Thank you, Devika and Ankita. We will now proceed with the session. So, our guest speakers will first share their insightful views on this topic, and this will be followed by a discussion round wherein everyone can put forth their questions for our panelists. And without further ado, I would like to invite Devika to introduce our first panelist for the day.
Thank you, Maitri. We are the change we seek in the society, and this has been truly materialized by our panelist, Mr. Varun Tari sir. He is a child and human rights activist and a trained development professional with over 8 years of experience in program management, monitoring and evaluation, and research. He has also worked with various grassroots organizations across the country. He has also managed to rescue close to 300 children from child labor. We are truly honored to have you with us today, sir. We would like to invite you to share your valuable insights with us.
Thanks a lot, and good afternoon to all. It's thanks for Sarkari School and as well Devika and Maitri to reaching out to me and giving me that opportunity. You know, uh, the topic is very vast. We begin about talking about our children, who are also a future of our country, and we also see through it that how exactly are we going to achieve our all our developmental goals. It's very important that we talk about them, right? And development sector, if you look at it very closely, it has been divided into multiple age groups. So what fascinated me to work for the children is when we say that the nation building or the nation development, it falls on all onto the shoulders of the those childrens, and we youngsters come together and voice for them. Now, how do we break the shackles of child labor? What exactly the root cause of child labor is? It's really difficult to understand and ascertain. It's been there now 3 to 4 years that I am in continuously on a daily basis. We have been rescuing children from various part of this country. And when I go up to the child and ask them or ask that he, she, whosoever it is, and their parents, that what exactly really is driving you to stay out from the school and then be the part of the country. I mean, to the be out of the school and be the part of the whole working force. What is exactly that is driving you? The only one response that has been very common is that we just want to earn two bread for a day so that we could also feed our family and we could also eat. You know, that kind of an innocent response that a child gives. And हम लोग जब पूछने की कोशिश करते हैं कि स्कूल अच्छा लगता है, क्या क्या व्हाट इज द ड्राइविंग फोर्स, आपको क्यों, कहते हैं कि पेरेंट्स को जब हम देखते हैं, हम भूखे तो रह लेंगे बट हमारे छोटे जो भाई बहन हैं उनके उनको उनको कौन खिलाएगा? मेरी माँ बीमार है, मेरे पिताजी, उनके पास इतने स्किल्स नहीं है कि एक वेल अर्निंग जॉब मिले। अब वेल अर्निंग जॉब का कॉन्सेप्ट उस 12, 13, 14 साल के उम्र के बच्चे के दिमाग में जाना, ये अपने आप में ही बहुत ही चैलेंजिंग बात है। मैं जब इस बारे में सोचता हूँ कि एक बच्चे को ये सोचने की बारी आ रही है कि वो ये सोचे कि मैं आज अपने भाई को क्या खिलाऊंगा, मैं अपनी माँ को क्या खिलाऊंगा, मैं अपने पिताजी को कैसे सपोर्ट करूं। ये थॉट प्रोसेस एक 13, 14 साल के उम्र के बच्चे में आता है, तो वो मुझे ड्राइव करता है। तो वो हम जैसे, आप जैसे लोग जब आप यहाँ पे हम कंसल्टेशन कर रहे हैं, ये इन इटसेल्फ एक कंपैशन है, एक एम्पैथी है जो हम लोगों को कंपेल कर रही है दैट वी नीड टू थिंक अबाउट आवर चिल्ड्रन, राइट? It is what is the right time to talk about these shackles, or what is the right time to step up is with everybody. It is that somebody have to step in, somebody have to barge in into this issue and then make sure that those children who are working are back to the school. Now, is the school only the remedy for it? What is the level of schools? What are the learning levels that has been given? Now, it's very tedious thing, right? When we start, we say that the right to education is now right to education. Now, also to get that recognized, we took 60 years. In 2009, we got the recognition that it has become an education as a fundamental right. Now, the fight is for 60 years. Till date, are we going to push for it that the education should be till the age of 18? Is there altogether a different ball game? Now, 8वीं तक तो एजुकेशन हम लोगों ने फ्री एंड कंपलसरी तो कर दिया, बट उस फ्री एंड कंपलसरी एजुकेशन में एक्चुअली में एजुकेशन मिल रहा है? ये सबसे बड़ी सोचने वाली बात है। लर्निंग लेवल्स क्या है आज हमारे बच्चों के? आप ग्रेजुएशन का भी किसी भी इंसान से पूछ लो, बेसिक एल्गोरिथम्स, तो उसकी क्रिएटिविटी क्या, what is his level of learning level that he she has, right? जो सवाल जो हमारे बच्चे पूछ रहे हैं, क्या हमारे टीचर उसको आंसर्स दे पा रहे हैं? क्या हमारे जो ग्रास रूट लेवल, हम ग्रास रूट की बात करते हैं, शहर बहुत छोटे शहर बहुत ही लिमिटेड है। आपके आजादी के बाद आपके एक्चुअली में शहर बने कितने हैं? गुड़गांव, नोएडा, गिने चुने बने हैं। जो भार आपके शहरों पे है, वो हम लोगों को कैसे वो हम उसको इज आउट करें, ये आज की तारीख में बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन है। वी आर सेइंग दैट वी आर गोइंग टू बी दी सुपर पावर and all those things on the cost of what is something that we really need to brainstorm and think through it. It's good that we are discussing, and it's also good that we are bringing in thought processes to come and actually debate over the topic, that the children who are on whom we are vouching and on whom we are counting, that these are the future and on the basis of them we are going to be the superpower. Are these children being so capable of it? you guys must be aware, last week the whole country was buzzing with the killing of that Dalit child. What is the mentality that we are going through? When are we going to be the superpower? We are just stuck with these small things. We have to first break those shackles at the ground level. The development is in the rural countries, in the those downtrodden areas where actually needs the thrust. The social media reach is, wonderful. The reach of Coke bottle is till the last mile. I went to the Malkangiri, the last, that Bonda tribe. I went and had a interaction with it. The Coke bottle was there. Nicely, it is been served in a very chilled bottle. I asked them, how did this came here? Oh, we get the supply very frequently. Where are the teachers? No, 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 no. They will come at that 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whenever their convenience is. What is the learning level of the child who is sitting there? It's, you know, I wonder that how should we begin and where should we begin? Laws, yes, we have the bestest of laws. You dig out any of the law, you dig out Bonded Labor System Abolition Act, you dig out Child Labor Act, you dig out Juvenile Justice Act, you dig out POXO Act, you dig out IPCs, constitutions. How many things we have to protect every citizen of the country? Every act is very good. It's if it gets implemented, we will be into utopian country. We will be the superpower. But what are the loopholes? Where are we actually missing out onto it? Are we feeling that the child who is begging onto the streets is our child? Are we compassionate enough? Are we, empathetic enough? What is that driving force? Where is that force is going to come from? So these are thousands of questions. It's good that we have come together. Let's act together. Let's build a collective. Let's voice it. जो कोर है आपके कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, that you have to come, educate, advocate, unite, have a collective actions, and then demand for what is right and what is the rightful view of the development, where the stream of the development is flowing. That has to be something which has to be ensured. The one thing what I personally feel is that we have to get out and be fearless. Unless and until if we are not fearing it, unless and until we are not fearless, it's really difficult to question. You all know, you all are very well versed what is happening in the country, where exactly the news are flowing, how exactly the voices are being taken up, and how exactly the opinions are being mattered. There are challenges to raise questions. Are you fair enough? Are you fearless enough to raise any kind of a questions? आज तो देश में सवाल उठाना ही अपने आप में सवाल हो गया है. तो कैसे समझ हम सारे सवाल के ऊपर, ये बहुत बहुत अच्छी बात है कि आज हम इस पे चर्चा कर रहे हैं कि चाइल्ड लेबर जो कि आपका सब्स्टिट्यूट है पूरा के पूरे यंग जनरेशन जो एडल्ट्स है जिनके काम को लेके. आज हम ब्लैक मनी की बात करते हैं. अगर एक एडल्ट की मिनिमम वेजेस अगर मान लो फॉर एग्जांपल 500-600 रुपए है दिल्ली में, उसके बदले अगर कोई बच्चा काम कर रहा है तो उसको मैं 50 रुपए देके और एक खाना देना ही नहीं देना है, वो सब्जेक्ट क्या कहते हैं उसको, इज दिस सब्जेक्टफुल, एंड देन फिर मैं उसको 50 रुपए देके 12 घंटे काम करवा के उसको कोई फैसिलिटीज भी ना दूं तो मेरा चल जा रहा है काम. वो जो 14 साल का बच्चा है वो काम तो कर ही रहा है ना, वही काम कर रहा है जो एक एडल्ट कर सकता है. तो मैं एडल्ट्स को क्यों करूं? दिल्ली जैसे शहर में आज बैठ के हम लोग हर महीने कम से कम 100 ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ इंटेलिजेंस इफ वी गेट तो हम रेस्क्यू कर लेते हैं. शाहजाबाद शहजादाबाद हो गया, अलीपुर जैसे एरियाज हो गए, सीमापुर बादली, वजीराबाद, अब यू नेम इट, देयर आर द चिल्ड्रंस आर वर्किंग. Is there any person sitting in this panel or across all those across this civilized society can very firmly say that कि जो मैं कपड़े पहन रहा हूँ उस कपड़े के सप्लाई चेन में चाइल्ड लेबर नहीं है? कोई कह सकता है? नहीं कह सकता. क्योंकि अगर आप, आई डोंट नो वेदर, अगर आप कॉटन के खेतों में जाओगे तो कॉटन का पेड़ ही 3 या 4 फुट का होता है. कोई एडल्ट उसको 8 घंटे झुक के नहीं तोड़ सकता, तो उसको बच्चा ही तोड़ना चाहिए. ये हमारे कुछ लूप होल्स है. तो एक कॉटन भी जहां से आपके कपड़े के लिए निकल के आता है तो वहां से आपका चाइल्ड लेबर शुरू है. चाइल्ड लेबर इज something that is very evident and now we have adopted into our systems. हमारे आंखों के लिए वो एक कैजुअल साइटिंग हो गई है, वो सबसे गलत है। क्या हमारे प्रैक्टिसेस इतने, हम लोग इतने ब्रेन वॉश हो चुके हैं कि चलो अगर बच्चा कहीं काम कर रहा भी है तो हमारे लिए वो एक्सेप्टेबल है। दिस इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल, वी डोंट हैव टू एक्सेप्ट दिस। एजुकेशन इज द सेंटर ऑफ एवरी सिंगल थिंग। अमर्त्य सेन कह रहते हैं कि द कैपेबिलिटी अप्रोच ही का उसका सेंटर ही आपका एजुकेशन है। एजुकेशन जरूरी है, बट एजुकेशन किस लेवल पे जरूरी है, किस कदर जरूरी है, उसकी क्वालिटी क्या होनी चाहिए, हमें उस पे ध्यान देना बहुत जरूरी है। अगर उस बच्चा जो मेरा स्कूल में एनरोल्ड है, वो अगर उसका इंटरेस्ट अगर आपका टीचर होल्ड ही नहीं कर पा रहा है तो वो बच्चा भाग जाएगा। कहाँ से रुकेगा? अगर वो बच्चे, चिल्ड्रंस आर क्यूरियस, एक नहीं हजार सवाल पूछेंगे। वो कहते हैं कि अगर धरती आपकी पूरी दुनिया मतलब आपका अर्थ अगर गोल है, ऊपर का पानी तो होल्ड कर जाएगा, पर नीचे का पानी अगर नीचे गिर सकता है तो इधर बाढ़ आ जाएगी। ये इस तरह के सवाल अगर बच्चे पूछते हैं तो उसको आंसर देने की कैपेबिलिटी हमारे टीचर्स के पास है क्या? या दो लपड़ मार के उसको चुप करा दे? या क्या हमारे पास वो और जो अभी हमारा एक छोटा बच्चा जो राजस्थान में मारा गया, क्या वो लेवल है? So there are thousands of questions. This consultation is just a beginning. I am not here to tell what are their acts are there. Nowadays, the whole era is of real time. You just have to type in few keywords and you will get the whole details. Not one but millions of research articles. And I'm very well sure that you all can read through it and can also understand, make their own understanding. It's really wonderful that we are having this discussion, but it is just that we have to be very strong enough and we have to make sure that we are now fearless. We have to adopt that principle of being fearless and voice against what is not right. Doesn't matter if it is children, if it is women, if it is elderly, if it is youngsters, if it is for our own rights. Now the demand is that we have to be fearless and we have to voice it. This is all from my side. In case anybody have any questions, I'm open for it. And thank you for Sarkari School. Thank you for Maitri. Thank you for all those hosts who have actually given this, made this platform available for discussion. Okay, over to you, man. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was insightful, as well as you very rightly implied that, okay, the child labor, we can say the root cause could be the economic necessity. But then it has the other side as well, where the schools are not providing that quality education, are not that lucrative that students go and join those schools. And we can rightly say that you said that when you ask them that they want to be the breadwinners for the family, and if we ask their parents, they will just say ki okay, school jaake bhi kya karega. We are lacking somewhere in the quality
So,
education that they could get
so the
jobs.
discourse, so the debate is कि मैं घर पे नहीं रह सकता क्योंकि मुझे कुछ कमाने की जरूरत है, मैं स्कूल नहीं जा सकता क्योंकि मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है। तो वो बच्चा ही 18 साल के नीचे सारे बच्चे आपके एक्ट में सारे जो है वो अलग अलग डेफिनेशंस दिए हुए हैं। चाइल्ड मैरिज आपका 21 कहता है और लड़कियों के लिए 18 कहता है, लड़कों के लिए। जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट आपका 18 कहता है, चाइल्ड लेबर 14 कहता है, आपका पॉक्सो 18 कहता है ना? तो ये वाला कंफ्यूजन में हमको फंसना ही नहीं है। आपका वोटिंग राइट अगर 18 से शुरू होता है तो हम मान के चलते हैं कि 18 के नीचे सारे बच्चे। दिस इज व्हाट द बेसिक आइडिया इज।
But if we focus on the language of the act, so like the Article 24 says that any child below 14 years should not be employed in a hazardous workplace. So if we talk about like cotton pickers or like in garment weaving, etc., those are not like we see many kids working in the shops. So that's partially legal, can we say?
हजार्डस एंड नॉन हजार्डस ये वर्क फॉर्म्स हैं।
Yeah.
वर्क फॉर्म्स उसके इस कदर है कि उस बच्चे को क्या वर्किंग कंडीशंस अवेलेबल करा के दिया जाए। द पॉइंट इज दैट आई began the whole conversation saying that is the child 18 साल के नीचे, हम ये प्रिंसिपल ही मान के चलते हैं कि वो बच्चा है। should that child work in any form of work at first place? If we had an opportunity, if you had an opportunity to work at the age of 14, would you have choose to work? right? So that's what the answer is. 18 years of age is also very less of an age. लोग 23-24 साल तक भी काम करने के लिए काम करना कोई बुरी बात नहीं है. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि बुरी बात है, उसको करो ही मत. इट्स नॉट आई एम सॉट बट एटलीस्ट पहले तुम क्वालिटी एजुकेशन तो ले लो, अपने आप को
Right.
स्किलफुल, make it such a way that you don't have to worry that what is the rent that you have to pay, how much is you're going to the bill. Wo, at least that is something that you deserve. Education for what? Education to be sustainable, to have a sustainable life goals, not just to be a worker at somebody's place. Even though that person have to start any kind of an if that he she has to be an entrepreneur, then what is that level of understanding that will give? Why are we saying that education is the core? Because education opens the logical thinking. It compels you to think, it compels you to articulate your thoughts, it compels you to read more, gain more experience. Books are the bestest of your friends because they will make you the world available for you at your disposal and get understanding and explore more things. Is it not so? That is why we are saying that education is important, because it will help you comprehend, help you build your logical thinking, help you think ahead. Man is a social animal, man is a social thinking animal, right? That's how it is. So doesn't let's not get into the debate of whether hazardous है, non hazardous है, अब उसके घर में गरीबी है, अब who are we responsibility? Can we commit a suicide? No, we can't, because we are the responsibility of the state. We are the responsibility of the government. If the government is not making available, we have to fight with the government. लड़ना जरूरी है, हमको फियरलेस होना जरूरी है. उस सरकार के साथ हम के खिलाफ हमको लड़ना जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये उसकी जिम्मेदारी है कि वो उसके बच्चे के माँ बाप को रोजगार अवेलेबल करा के दे, ऐसा रोजगार अवेलेबल करा के दे कि वो अपने बच्चे की पढ़ाई पूरी कर सके. एक एजुकेशन आपके मेरी पूरे जनरेशन में एक अगर ढंग से पूरा एजुकेशन साइकिल पूरा कर लेता है, तो उसकी आने वाली पूरी जनरेशन चेंज हो जाती है. आज जो हम क्लास डिवाइड कह रहे हैं कि अमीर और अमीर होते जा रहा है, गरीब होते जा रहा है, उसकी वजह ही यही है क्योंकि वो उसका एजुकेशन ही नहीं पूरा हो पा रहा है, क्वालिटी एजुकेशन नहीं पूरा हो पा रहा है ना. दैट इज व्हाट इट इज.
Yeah. And ironically, the last thing our government wants is that people think.
हाँ.
Yeah. Okay. Moving ahead with our second guest speaker, Ms. Kaki Likitha, who is academically inclined towards public policy and is working in the administrative services. She is passionate about writing, painting, upcycling. Along with it, she is an ardent humanist. Indeed, policy intervention is crucial in tackling the issue of child labor. We must be having any lacunas in our child labor policies and laws that this situation is still rampant in our country. And despite having stringent laws in place, we still have about 10 million children working as laborers rather than attending school in a safe environment. Ma'am, it would be an absolute pleasure to hear your views on the same. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Maitri, for welcoming me. And also, I would like to thank We Citizens Foundation and Sarkari School for giving me this opportunity. And I am actually connecting from Arunachal Pradesh and one of the remotest village on the borders of Arunachal Pradesh. So we barely have any cellular network here. So I was really scared that I won't be able to connect. I took a special permission from the NIC so that I could join this platform today. And I really thank each and every panelist who is present here. I've fortunately Sunday is actually taken as a maintenance day in my village, but then fortunately I'm getting my network today and I could listen to all the other panel as well, like other great speakers, and I'm looking forward to my other co-panelists as well. So coming to the topic that we are discussing today, the breaking the shackles of child labor. So before I exchange my thoughts and brainstorm on this issue, I thought of saying few lines and verses. I think these are very moving, and some of them would really connect with already how Varun sir has discussed about the root causes of child labor and what we can do to break the shackles of the child labor. So the lines go like this. So working with the tools and teacups, the little hands move every day. For need and for survival, some they are ready to walk every way. Some have an ailing sister, while some have a poor mother. To get back home a single penny, they are often beaten by the other. So, do these kids in our country really realize that they are losing on their childhood? And what are the approaches and initiatives that we can take, to address this issue right at the root cause and break the shackles of the child labor? Now, so I think these lines really portray the grim reality of the child labor of our country, and as we all know from the academic literature, and also as Maitri had already pointed out, that according to the report of United Nations, they say that there are more than 10 million child laborers in our country right now, in the bracket of 5 to 18 years. And this shows this grim, gloomy picture of, children losing their childhood on daily basis in our country. So even as Varun just said, that you can open the Google and type what are the root causes of child labor, and you can get lots and lots of research papers and articles, and we all realize that there are pertinent factors and determinants for child, falling under the traps of child labor. So, and as we realize that India is an agriculturally dominant society, so most of us, our laborers, are working as small and marginal farmers, and other poor sections of our society, proportionally increases the chances and incidences of children falling under the trap of child labor. But so I thought instead of pointing out all these factors which are common and we all know, I thought of discussing something very important and which is very close to this topic that I learned during my graduation and learning public policy. So during my graduation, I was given the project of working with a thesis under the course of social anthropology and approaches towards marginalized communities, especially as the children of the marginalized communities. So during the course, I had done a research which is about social pain that these children of marginalized communities face are equivalent to the physical pain that a person actually experiences while they are injured or experiences during their accidents. So इसका कहने का मतलब ये है कि जब हमको चोट लगता है, the physical pain is visible to each and everyone, and everyone runs and gets the bandage, and it's visible, and they say that okay, this needs to be mitigated, this needs to be solved. But when it comes to social pain, which is pain in terms of emotional investments, cognitive developments of the children who are falling under the traps of child labor, it's not visible to everyone in the society. And when as we are discussing the topic of breaking the shackles of child labor, I believe that just rescuing the child, from somewhere, from some remote village, and then, as Varun has said, sending them to the educational institutions is not the end, is not the solution. This is not where this vicious cycle ends. So that's why I believe that it is important that even the public policy initiatives should understand the social pain that keeps on, that lingers along with the child in the later stages of their, in their lives, even if they are now rescued from the shackles of child labor. Now they are getting education in proper institutions. So I wanted to emphasize more on this point, because if we compare a child who has experienced child labor, who has been subjected to child labor, and now he she or they are getting the mainstream education and competing with the other kids who are from the middle class or the upper middle class family, and who have apparently not really experienced such grave situations in their lives. If we compare both of them, if we see the middle class or the upper middle class children, they have experienced holistic development of their personality right from their childhood. They have been learning poems, they are visiting zoological parks, they are going to museums. They, when they come back to home, they have parents who are helping them with completing their homeworks. There are schools. So even right at the age of 2 and 3, they are even learning to use mobiles at the age of 2 and 3. And if we compare a child who's coming out of the shackles of child labor, and when they have been subjected to child labor all of their lives, and suddenly we pick them up and then start asking them to compete with someone coming from the middle class and someone from the privileged section, it becomes really unfair. And breaking the shackles of child labor doesn't really stop here. So the policy intervention should actually address even the later stages of the child labor, which comes even after the child is given the opportunities of getting the education. Because if this is not this social pain and this hindrances of cognitive developments of the children who are coming from the child labor situations are not addressed, then it becomes a sort of a burden to the society, then to the family, and then again it becomes a burden to the individual or the child itself, who believes that I am no good even if I'm given the opportunity to get the education as everyone is getting. So this is where the weakest link comes in, creeps in, I believe, if we want to address the entire vicious cycle. So I believe that, of course, rescuing children are very important, but it is very important to address it at the very root cause and at the very genesis of the child labor, which I believe and everyone knows that it's poverty. And of course, poverty is multidimensional. So there is malnutrition, there are incidences of migration of families in search of work that we have seen during COVID pandemic. There was huge reverse migration from metropolitan cities like Bangalore and Hyderabad, going back to the their own villages like Bihar. And then there is, of course, this complex nexus of unemployment. So coming from my own work experiences, I wanted to share a few mitigation strategies so that we can address on maybe some level to uh, give a means and subsistence to the family itself, because we have to address the issue of poverty. Only then we can proportionally reduce the amount of incidences of child labor. Professionally, I'm working as a Mahatma Gandhi National Fellow under Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So my work is predominantly about creating the skilling environment in my district. So currently I'm in northeastern states. If I want to share my personal anecdote, my district is 85% dominant of tribal communities. And even then, I have observed that most of their kids are still employed in the agricultural farming like their parents itself. So they are not, even like Varun sir was saying, even I can see Coke bottle here, but there are incidences that teachers won't show up, children are going to the school at 10 o'clock, then coming back again at 12 o'clock. Even I was giving tuitions to some of the 10th class and 12th class students as they're studying political science, because they don't really know even the basics of political science here, the basic subject material that they're given, because there are no teachers that are available here. So what I work upon is to provide skill development to both the children as well as their parents, banking and on the basis of the skills that they already possess. So, for example, in the northeastern states, they already have skills, and they're very well equipped with making handloom and in the handicraft sector, or for example, food processing industries, or for example, tourism and hospitality sectors, for like homestays that are very much developed in the northeastern states. So these are just sort of an additional source of income, so that they don't have fallen under the traps of disguised unemployment, and also subject their own kids to child labor. So if their own family income increases, and if their social status and economic status increases, then only then I think they can also believe that their children have a sort of opportunity in the future like them. They can also go into the mainstream workforce and earn for themselves, not being subjected to agriculture, farming sector, child labor sort of nexus that they have created here. And second, coming again taking things out of my working experience, I'm also working in implementation of national education policy in the grassroots. So national education policy is a new policy intervention that our government has come up with. So I believe even if these kids who are taken out of this nexus of child labor and put into the education, mainstream education, even if they are not faring well in comparison with the other students who have you've been in this tunnel of conventional education, they can still opt for skilling because of the national education policies, because it allows for them to learn new skills right from the classes of 6th 8th and 10th. Even then they can drop out of it, they can take trainings under the ITIs. They, even if they don't fare well, I'm not saying that they'll not fare well ever, but then, because if we see the socio-cultural circumstances, even if they don't fare well in the conventional educational ecosystem of the society, they can still opt for the skilling, and they can be new job roles ready for their future, and not then again fall under the traps of child labor. Then coming third, as I'm working closely with the district administration, I believe that the convergence of all the line departments and the ministerial departments to address this issue right at the grassroots is very important. For example, there is a child development and protection officer who is working here, but he doesn't really know what is going on in the Department of Agriculture or Department of Horticulture, or what are the possible prospective places where these children could go and work in future. So there is a need that, like, each and every department should efficiently, of course, implement their own schemes and welfare safety nets that they are providing, but at the same time, all of these should not be mutually exclusive in nature. They should be sort of aligned, and they should come in convergence to address this issue and cut this thing, and nip this right from the bud. So I think these are some of the insights that I wanted to share today. And ending my thoughts again, I would like to say a few lines, that it's time for the kids to play, experience, and make memories in the woods. So let us all join in this endeavor to break the shackles and reclaim their golden childhoods. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think it was an absolute honor hearing you, and the ideas of social pain, and talking about how all the organizations should not be mutually exclusive towards the end. And I mean, for sure, even constricting, once you bring even if you bring a child to education sector, that is not the end. Even working after that is also our responsibility, and I think that is why we are here to have a larger discourse, larger discussion upon all of these topics, and bringing all of these topics in coherence. So I think it was an immense honor of us to hear upon all of these things, and we thank you again for that. Moving forward, we have Nancy Srivasta, ma'am. So, once a child is rescued, it is imperative to help them counter the psychological impact of being subjected to such hazardous work. Child labor can be a true menace to the physical and mental health of the child. Our next speaker, Nancy Srivastava, ma'am, is a child and adolescent psychologist. She's currently working with Shining Stars Child Development Center, New Delhi, as a child psychologist. We are honored to have you with us today, ma'am. We request you to kindly grace this session with your motivating words.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू सो मच सरकारी स्कूल डॉट इन एंड वी सिटीजन्स फाउंडेशन कि हम लोगों को एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म दिया सो दैट वी कैन शेयर आवर प्रीशियस व्यूज़. थैंक यू टू द वॉलंटियर्स ऑल्सो फॉर रीचिंग आउट टू मी एंड माई को पैनलिस्ट. गुड आफ्टरनून. तो अब हम स्टार्ट करते हैं. सबसे पहले जब हम चाइल्ड लेबर की बात करते हैं, द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट टर्म इज चाइल्ड. एज आई एम वर्किंग विद चिल्ड्रन एंड ऑल्सन, सो इम्पॉर्टेंट क्या है समझना कि एक बच्चा क्या होता है. डेफिनेशंस हम बहुत पढ़ चुके हैं, एज वरुण सर राइटली सेड कि हम यूनाइटेड नेशन की डेफिनेशन पढ़ते हैं, हम बहुत डेफिनेशन पढ़ते हैं जिसमें लिखा होता है 18 साल से कम बच्चा या 21 साल से कम बच्चा जो है जिसे बच्चा कहा जाता है. लेकिन बच्चा असली में है क्या? हु इज़ अ चाइल्ड? सो बेसिकली जब हम एक चाइल्ड की बात करते हैं, एक चाइल्ड का बहुत ही फ्रेजाइल एंड फ्लेक्सिबल माइंड होता है. जो भी हम उसको सिखाते हैं, जिस भी इन्वायरमेंट में वो रहता है, वो अपने आप को वैसे ही प्रोजेक्ट करता है, वैसा ही बना लेता है अपने आप को. तो हमको बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान देना है कि जब भी हम किसी बच्चे के साथ बात करते हैं या उसे जिस भी इन्वायरमेंट में रखते हैं, इट इज़ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट कि जो भी हम बोलते हैं करते हैं उसका उस पर एक लार्जर इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है जो कि वो पूरी लाइफ में कैरी करता है. राइट. तो हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि अगर मैंने बच्चे के सामने तेज से डांटा तो कल को उसके ऊपर कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं होगा. इट इज़ नॉट लाइक दैट. तो बेसिकली जब हम एक चाइल्ड लेबर की बात करते हैं, हम उन सारी कंडीशंस को अपने माइंड में रखें जिसमें वो बच्चा रहता है। तो उस बच्चे के साथ किसी भी तरीके की इमोशनल अब्यूज़ हो सकती है, फिजिकल अब्यूज़ हो सकती है, मेंटल अब्यूज़ हो सकती है, जो कि बहुत ही ग्रेव प्रॉब्लम है, राइट? तो जब भी हम किसी अब्यूज़ की बात करते हैं, हमको ये अपने दिमाग में बिठाना ज़रूरी है कि वो लाइफ टाइम के लिए रहती है। तो अगर हम बात करें कि कोई सोशियोपैथ कैसे बनता है या साइकोपैथ कैसे बनता है, या वन पर्सन एंटर्स इनटू जुवेनाइल डिलिक्वेंसी, इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वो सब चीज़ें चाइल्डहुड ट्रॉमा से आती हैं, चाइल्डहुड अब्यूज़ का इम्पैक्ट होती हैं, राइट? तो हमको ये समझना ज़रूरी है कि हम उसी टाइम पे जो है उन बच्चों को रेस्क्यू जब हम कर रहे हों, हमें सारा इम्पोर्टेंस वहीं देना है। हम करते क्या है, बेसिकली कुछ एनजीओज़ या गवर्नमेंट भी ये सोचते हैं कि जब भी हम किसी बच्चे से बात करते हैं तो हमको तुरंत उस चीज़ के जो है रिजल्ट्स दिखने लग जाएंगे, कि एक बार हमने किसी से बात करी और हमने उसको ट्रांसफॉर्म कर दिया। इट इज़ नॉट लाइक दैट। जब भी हम किसी बच्चे के साथ बात करते हैं या उसे चेंज करने की कोशिश करते हैं, सेशंस लग जाते हैं। हमें ज़रूरी है समझना कि पेशेंस बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है जब भी हम बच्चों के साथ टैकल करते हैं। हमें उनके साथ ये समझना ज़रूरी है कि हमें अडल्ट्स बन के नहीं बात करनी है, हमें एक ऐसी रैपो बिल्डिंग फॉर्म करनी है कि जब भी हम उनके साथ बात करें तो हम उनके उम्र हों, यानी उनके तरीके से उन्हें बात करें, उनके लैंग्वेज का यूज़ करें, राइट? तो मेरे पास कुछ पॉइंटर्स हैं, हम उसके हिसाब से चलेंगे। चाइल्ड लेबर जो है वो दो तरीके के हो सकते हैं, फोर्स्ड होता है और अनफोर्स्ड होता है, राइट? फोर्स्ड मतलब कि अगर कोई चाइल्ड ट्रैफिकिंग का केस है या कोई पोर्नोग्राफी में बच्चा जिसे पता नहीं था और वो एंटर कर गया, राइट? उसे बोल के कुछ लाया गया छोटी सिटीज़ से, कोई आदमी है जो उसको बोलता है चलो मैं तुम्हें वहाँ काम दूंगा, पॉवर्टी डेफिनेटली कि हाँ वो पुअर फैमिली से है इसलिए उसको लाया जाता है बिग सिटी में, कि चलो मैं तुम्हें वहाँ काम दूंगा, अच्छा काम होगा, तुम अपने घर में पैसे भेज पाओगे, जिसकी वजह से वो बड़ी सिटीज़ में आ जाते हैं और उनको इन सब चीज़ों में फोर्सफुली इंडल्ज कर दिया जाता है। द सेकेंड थिंग इज़ अनफोर्स्ड, राइट? एज वरुण सर सेड कि जो एग्रीकल्चर फील्ड में काम करते हैं, जो फैक्ट्रीज़ में काम कर रहे हैं, जो कि नॉन हजार्डस इन्वायरमेंट है, तो वो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो फोर्स्ड ही हो, अनफोर्स्ड भी हो सकता है। द सेकेंड थिंग इज़, हम हमेशा चाइल्ड लेबर की बात करते हैं कि वो इराडिकेट होना चाहिए, हटना चाहिए, ख़त्म होना चाहिए, लेकिन अभी भी जब भी हम कोई मूवीज़ देखते हैं, वेब सीरीज़ देखते हैं, तो ये कितना लार्जली प्रोजेक्ट किया जाता है। आपको चाइल्ड लेबर देखने को मिलेगा उसमें कि कोई छोटू है जो अपने हाथ में चाय ला रहा है, राइट? तो हमें बेसिकली एटीट्यूड चेंज करना होगा और बिहेवियर चेंज करना होगा, जिससे मेजर चीज़ें आपको देखने को मिलेगी ग्रास रूट लेवल पे। जब हम ओपन डेफिकेशन की बात करते हैं तो उस पॉलिसी में भी सबसे पहला जो पॉइंट लाया गया वो यही था, वी नीड टू चेंज आवर एटीट्यूड एंड बिहेवियर। जब तक वहाँ से चेंज नहीं आएगा तब तक आप दुनिया भर की नेशनल लेवल पे, इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे कोई पॉलिसी बना लीजिए, वो इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो सकती। ठीक है, तो इम्पॉर्टेंट ये है। दूसरी बात, मैत्री ने सही बोला कि इंडिया का उन्होंने डेटा हमारे साथ शेयर किया आज 2011 सेंसस में कि क्या नंबर था। दिल्ली का मैं शेयर करना चाहती हूँ। अकॉर्डिंग टू द 2011 सेंसस दैट वाज 36,000 बच्चे जो कि आइडेंटिफाइड हैं। अनआइडेंटिफाइड पता नहीं कितने हैं जिनको हम नहीं जानते, राइट? और तब से अब 10-11 साल हो चुके हैं, नंबर जो है एस्केलेट ही करता जा रहा है, राइट? बातें सब कर रहे हैं, पैनल डिस्कशन हो रहे हैं, सब मिल रहे हैं, पॉलिसीज़ बन रही है, बट वही जैसे सब बोल रहे हैं, जैसे लिखिता जी ने बोला, वरुण जी ने बोला, इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट कि हम इम्प्लीमेंट कितना कर रहे हैं, दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट? दूसरी चीज़ जो मैं बताना चाहूँगी, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जितने भी एनजीओ हैं लाइक नेशन वाइड, दे शुड अपॉइंट अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट, नॉट बिकॉज आई एम अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट, बट एक साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास ये माइंडसेट होता है कि बच्चों के साथ एग्जैक्टली किस तरीके से बात करनी है, कैसे रैपो बिल्डिंग करना है, कैसे उनके साथ समय बिताना है, उन्हें किन किन चीज़ों में इंडल्ज करना है, तो दैट इज़ मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट। क्योंकि क्या होता है, जब हमारे पास कोई बच्चा आता है तो मोस्टली वॉलेंटियर्स जो होते हैं वो फॉर द टाइम बीइंग होते हैं, कोई 1 साल के लिए, कोई 2 साल के लिए। तो जब तक बच्चे का उसके साथ रेपो बन पाता है तब तक वो अपनी या तो स्टडीज़ के लिए चले जाते हैं या जॉब के लिए चले जाते हैं। अगर एक फुल टाइम साइकोलॉजिस्ट हायर होगा तो बच्चों को एक ये प्रोटेक्टिव एनवायरनमेंट मिलेगा कि हाँ, ये कोई है, ये मदर फिगर या फादर फिगर कोई मेरे लिए है जो मेरी बात सुन सकता है। एंड लिसनिंग इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। क्योंकि काउंसलिंग के टाइम मैंने क्या नोटिस किया है, कि हम जब काउंसलिंग करते हैं तो हम वन वे काउंसलिंग करते हैं, हम बच्चे को समझाने में लग जाते हैं। दैट शुड नॉट बी द केस। ये टू वे होता है, राइट? पहले आपको उनका सुनना है, लिसनिंग स्किल इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। पहले आपको सुनना है कि वो एग्जैक्टली बताना क्या चाहते हैं, कहना क्या चाहते हैं, फिर आप अपनी बातें बताएं उनको। क्योंकि ऑलरेडी वो इतनी ख़राब जगह से आए होते हैं जहाँ पे हेल्थ की उन्हें इश्यूज़ होते हैं, फिज़िकल अब्यूज़ हुआ होता है, मेंटल अब्यूज़ हुआ होता है। गर्ल्स के साथ तो सेक्सुअल अब्यूज़ की भी प्रॉब्लम होती है, इवन बॉयज़ भी सेक्सुअल अब्यूज़ भी हो आते हैं। वो चीज़ें उनके दिमाग में इस कदर डीपली इम्प्रिंट होती हैं कि उनको एक बार में निकाल पाना जो है बहुत मुश्किल है। इसके लिए आपको बहुत पेशेंस चाहिए। तो आप ऐसे लोगों को ज़रूर अपॉइंट करें जो फॉर द लॉन्ग रन उनके साथ हो या ऐसे एनजीओज़ में हों, ताकि वो ग्रास रूट लेवल पे काम कर पाएँ। द सेकेंड थिंग इज़ अवेयरनेस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। जब भी हमें पोलियो इराडिकेट करना था और जब भी ये मुहिम चली होगी, इनिशिएटिव चला होगा, तब हम डोर टू डोर गए वो चीज़ चेंज करने के लिए, और आज उसका रिजल्ट हमें दिख रहा है इतने साल बाद। तो क्या हम चाइल्ड लेबर के लिए भी ऐसा कुछ कर सकते हैं? किस लेवल पे हम अवेयरनेस फैला सकते हैं? सिर्फ किताबों में लिख देना, सिर्फ कह देना, सिर्फ 15 अगस्त को लाल किले पे खड़े हो जाना और भाषण दे देना, वो ज़रूरी नहीं है। ज़रूरी है कि आप डोर टू डोर कितना जा रहे हैं, आप किस लेवल पे अवेयरनेस क्रिएट कर रहे हैं। क्या वो ग्रास रूट लेवल पे है कि हम अर्बन सिटीज़ में बंद कमरे में बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं और हो गया? नहीं, आपको अपने जो नेटवर्क है उसको डिसेंट्रलाइज करना होगा, बेसिक लेवल ग्रास रूट तक पहुंचना होगा। जैसे कि सपोज़ एक गांव है, ठीक है, तो आप वहाँ के सरपंच से बात कर सकते हैं, आप वहाँ के लोकल लोगों को बात कर सकते हैं, आप उनसे पूछ सकते हैं। सपोज़ कोई इंडस्ट्री है, उसको वहाँ का सब पता होगा, बेसिकली जो लोकल लोग हैं उनको सब पता होता है क्या टाइमिंग है इस इंडस्ट्री के खुलने की, कितने बच्चे हैं, किस कंडीशन में उन्हें रखा जाता है, क्या खाना सही से दिया जाता है, क्या दवाई मिलती है। ये सब लोकल लोगों से ज़्यादा हमें नहीं पता होगा, क्योंकि हम अभी भी बंद कमरों में डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं। तो क्या हम ज़रूरी नहीं है कि हम उनको भी अपने पैनल में लें, उनसे भी इम्पॉर्टेंट नेटवर्क बनाएं, उनको भी रिवॉर्ड दें इस चीज़ के लिए कि वो सच में जो है एक लाइफ सेविंग काम कर रहे हैं, जो कि बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, ठीक है, और बहुत बड़ा है। तो हमें वो चीज़ बहुत ज़्यादा करनी होगी कि हमें लोकल लेवल पे डिसेंट्रलाइज होकर नेटवर्किंग टाइट करनी होगी, नेटवर्किंग बनानी होगी, ताकि हम जो है लोकल लेवल की इंफॉर्मेशन लेके आएँ। जैसे लिखिता जी ने कहा, सही में चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन ऑफिसर है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे भी ये सब कुछ हो रहा है, बट काफ़ी चीज़ें नेम सेक हैं। जस्ट वो लोग जाके वहाँ काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, हो नहीं रहा है ग्राउंड लेवल पे कुछ। हम लिख दे रहे हैं, फाइल्स बना रहे हैं, लेकिन एग्जैक्टली हम कितना काम कर रहे हैं, राइट? अब मैं कोविड की भी बात करना चाहूँगी, बिकॉज कोविड को कोई भी डिनाई नहीं कर सकता। तो एक छोटा सा फिगर है डेटा, अकॉर्डिंग टू द DCPCR 2029 ऑर्फन्स दिल्ली में हुए जिनके दोनों पेरेंट्स की डेथ हो गई कोविड के टाइम। और लैंसेट की स्टडी के अनुसार 19 लाख जो बच्चे हैं वो ऑर्फन हुए इन इंडिया। दैट इज़ ह्यूज एंड ह्यूमंगस, ठीक है। तो अगर हम इन ऑर्फन्स के जिनके दोनों पेरेंट्स नहीं हैं और कोई संभालने वाला नहीं है, क्या उनके लिए एक रास्ता चाइल्ड लेबर का नहीं हो जाता? तो क्या हम पहले से ही उसको टारगेट नहीं कर सकते कि हम देखें कि आखिरकार क्या हो रहा है? चीज़ें हमारे हाथ में हैं, लेकिन हमको उसको पहले ही टैकल करना है, बाद में नहीं, क्योंकि प्रिवेंशन इज़ ऑलवेज बेटर देन क्योर। सुनने में ये सब बातें बहुत ज़्यादा यूटोपियन लगती हैं, ऐसा लगता है कि ये तो हो नहीं सकता। लेकिन अगर कैलाश सत्यार्थी ने भी मुझे लगता है कि शायद एक बच्चे से स्टार्ट किया होगा और आज उन्होंने बहुत कुछ अचीव कर लिया है। दूसरी बात मुझे लगता है कि जब भी आप किसी बच्चे से बात करें तो उसको एग्जाम्पल्स ज़रूर दें। मतलब जब भी हमने जैसे तारे ज़मीन पर मूवी देखी तो जो दर्शील था उसको ये समझ में आया कि डिस्लेक्सिक जो बच्चे हैं वो एल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन भी डिस्लेक्सिक था, अभिषेक बच्चन भी डिस्लेक्सिक था, ऋतिक रोशन भी डिस्लेक्सिक था, और अब उन्होंने क्या अचीव कर लिया अपने लाइफ में। सो इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट कि जब हम ऐसे बच्चों से बात करें तो हम उन्हें एग्जाम्पल ये दें कि देखो तुम इन सब चीज़ों में अपनी वजह से नहीं आए हो, ठीक है, या इसमें तुम्हारी कोई गलती नहीं है। बिकॉज द मेजर कंसर्न इन कि जब भी आप ऐसे बच्चों से डील कर रहे होते हो वो हमेशा यही बोलते हैं वाई मी। तो हमें उसी समय उनको समझाना है कि वाई मी जैसा कुछ नहीं होता, ये हज़ारों के साथ हुआ है, ठीक है। और अभी भी ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो रेस्क्यू नहीं हुए हैं, लेकिन एग्जाम्पल्स हमें उन्हें पॉजिटिव देने हैं कि उसमें से भी कितने बच्चे निकल के अभी अच्छा कर रहे हैं या अचीव कर लिया है उन्होंने लाइफ में कुछ, जैसा कि आप भी कर सकते हो। इसका उन पे बहुत ही पॉजिटिव रीइंफोर्समेंट होगा, उन पे एक अच्छा पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा। साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि अगर मैं बिल्कुल सेन माइंड से हूँ तो मैं अपनी सारी चीज़ें कर सकती हूँ, मैं खुश रह सकती हूँ। लेकिन मेरा माइंड अगर सेन नहीं है तो मेरे लिए दुनिया की दौलत यहाँ भी पड़ी होगी, मेरे लिए वो किसी काम की नहीं है, राइट। तो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि हम साइकोलॉजिकल फर्स्ट एड उन्हें कैसे देते हैं। नाउ द सेकेंड थिंग इज़ दैट जब भी हम ऐसे बच्चों के साथ बात करते हैं तो हम एक चीज़ ध्यान में रखें कि हम वही जैसे वरुण सर ने कहा, सिंपैथी नहीं हमें शो करनी है, हमें हमेशा एम्पैथेटिक एटीट्यूड रखना है और उन्हें दिखाना है कि देखो हम तुम में जितना भी स्टिग्मा चल रहा है उसकी वजह से हम तुम पे कोई दया भाव से तुमसे बात नहीं कर रहे हैं। इट्स बिकॉज कि हम रियली तुम्हारी हेल्प करना चाहते हैं, नॉट इवन हेल्प, कि हम तुम्हें सपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं कि तुम उन सब चीज़ों से बाहर निकल ले पाओ। सो yes,
Thank you
Matri, you
so
were
much.
saying something.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really insightful, as well as uh, we often forget the psychological aspect of the child labor. And you rightly said that government needs, or even NGOs that are involved in rescuing children or working with the rehabilitation, needs to, incorporate the psychological counseling. But I
True.
feel that there's a need for the psychologist community too, because they have to volunteer. Government don't have such funds that, because they would need to be counseled for a very long time. Government
Exactly.
can't employ them, so basically we feel that okay, we need more volunteers from that community to
Yeah.
work with the children, especially in those rural areas. Due to paucity of the time, we have to move ahead with our last speaker for
Sure,
today.
sure. Please go on.
Yeah. So Miss Nisha Paul, she is currently working as a head of business operations at Quantal.in, and she has done her bachelor's of vocational in banking and finance from Ramanujan College, University of Delhi. All of us here have been privileged enough to attend schools and get a quality education. And most of us haven't really experienced that side of a society where the young children are working as forced laborers or being trafficked like a commodity. Ma'am, we would like to hear your views on this grave issue.
Sure. Thank you so much. And first of all, I would like to greeting every one of you presented here, and of course, the everyone who is watching us. So, hello everybody. I'm Nisha, and of course, I would like to give a brief about my background. So, I'm a 2021 graduate from Delhi University itself, and I love teaching and educating people. So, of course, from my college life, just teaching and giving tuition to these students, and now as a young entrepreneur building a platform who is giving a mentoring to the students. So right now I'm majorly working in the education sector. So let's talk about the topic, like breaking the shackles of child labor. So first I would like to say thank you to each each one of Sarkari school team to keep this conference and making the awareness between us. So guys, I would like to raise this thing, and I have listened each one of the point of view of Nancy, Varun, Likhita. I have just got one thing, ki there is the lack in the awareness part. Like if we are aware about the things about the child labor, and if we will pay more attention towards these things, if we will take it like a serious thing, then this issue can be solved. Because the young youth, if I'll talk about the young youth, because I am a 21-year-old now, and I saw the people around me, like of my age, if we go to any restaurants, any any type of things which in which we will see कि बच्चे वहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं, there are small children who are working, but we enjoys our like हम अपना ग्रुप एंजॉय कर रहे होते, we never think about it, like हम उसको देखते भी नहीं है, और अगर देखते भी है तो like we have accepted that thing. So for that thing, like I have some facts, like I want to tell you few facts before starting, and giving anything here. So I want to tell you few facts about it, and that will, like I will show that will shock you. So in the beginning of 2020, so I'm talking about the beginning when coronavirus is not there, there are 63 million girls and 97 million boys were in child labor. Like it's, I'm talking about the worldwide. And the second fact is that there are 70% of them are in the agriculture thing. So we need to understand that there are 70% of people in child labor majorly from the rural areas who are into farming, or just factories or domestic services, majorly in the agriculture side. And the third fact I would like to raise is majorly, which I have figured it out and I have googled this also, across all age groups there are boys are more into the child labor than girls. And the fourth point I want to tell you the fact, which is after the coronavirus thing, like I have just given you the figure at the beginning of 2020, and now if I talk about in 2022, in the beginning of the coronavirus thing, 8.5 million people have more मतलब child labor और ज़्यादा बढ़ी है 8.5 million in the worldwide as compared to the 2020 side. Why? Because of the coronavirus thing, and we know that there are so many people, there are so many parents who lose their job, who lose their businesses and so on and stuffs. That's why we this data and the census has raised. So that's the fact I want to tell you, because I know it will get shocked, and it will help us to majorly pay more attention towards this issue, and it will help us to understand कि what is going on in our world. मतलब हम अपनी लाइफ में इतने ज़्यादा बिजी हैं कि हम बोल सकते हैं इन टॉपिक्स के ऊपर, जब भी हमसे कोई पूछता है कि ओके व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दिस, व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दैट, वी गिव सो मेनी सजेशंस एंड ऑल, बट व्हाट वी डू एक्चुअली, पॉइंट इज दैट कि हम एक्चुअली करते क्या हैं, व्हाट वी डू ऑन द रूट कॉज, हम उसके लिए कर क्या रहे हैं, दैट इज द पॉइंट, राइट? So even I want to raise one topic here, which is कि what is this happening to the child, like जो इसके issue के through मतलब इसको फेस कर रहे हैं, उनके मेंटल हेल्थ पे और फिजिकल हेल्थ पे क्या फ़र्क पड़ रहा है. वी न्यू इट वेरी वेल कि देर आर सो मेनी स्टूडेंट्स जो इसमें इनरोल्ड रहते हैं. एंड इफ़ आई टॉक अबाउट माई सेल्फ, लाइक या फिर अपनी फैमिलीज़ की बात करें जो जिनके पास सारी चीज़ों का प्रिविलेज है, हमारे को पेरेंट्स नरिश करते हैं, दे विल टेक केयर ऑफ आर वी आर गोइंग स्कूल्स और नॉट, और आर वी ईटिंग और नॉट, हमें इतनी बारी पीछे जा जाके हमें चीज़ें करवाई जाती हैं कि बेटा खा लो, बेटा ये कर लो, बेटा वो कर लो, बट द पीपल जिनको ये चीज़ें मिल ही नहीं रही हैं, राइट? एंड इफ आई टॉक अबाउट अस, लाइक फिर भी हमारे जो बच्चे हैं वो स्टिल इतना इश्यूज फेस करते हैं, एंड दे हैव सो मेनी curious in their mind कि अरे हमारे साथ ऐसा हो रहा है, हमारे साथ ऐसा हो रहा है, and stuff like that, problems, like even I talk about myself also, we have so many problems in our life कि अरे हम we have never thought कि उनकी लाइफ में क्या प्रॉब्लम्स, उनको तो हम सोच भी नहीं सकते, राइट? एज नैन्सी मेंशन कि हम फिजिकल लेवल पे देखते हैं ये सारी चीज़ें कि ये चीज़ें हो रही हैं, बट इफ़ आई टॉक अबाउट द इमोशनल लेवल एंड सेंटिमेंट्स पे अगर हम जाएं और देखें कि व्हाट दे आर फेसिंग, सो दैट्स अ वेरी बिग इशू विच मतलब जो खुल के आएगा, राइट? सो दैट्स द पॉइंट आई वांट टू रेज कि मेंटल एंड फिजिकल इफेक्ट बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है इस चीज़ के चक्कर में स्टूडेंट्स का, एंड ऑफ कोर्स लाइक द स्टूडेंट्स लाइक अस जिनको सारी चीज़ें मिल रही हैं, इसलिए वो इतना डेवलप हो पा रहे हैं, राइट? दैट्स व्हाई दे आर एबल टू बिल्ड एंड डेवलप, बट स्टूडेंट जिनको कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, हाउ दे विल डेवलप? सो उनका ही जो डेवलपमेंट है दे हैव स्टॉप्ड. So we have to figure it out some things as a youth, like if I would like to tell you this thing कि as a youth ना, youth is the major power, right? जो हमारी जनरेशन होती है, that is the major power and they can change the world. So we have to take some actions as a youth, and yeah, matlab, we have to pay more attention towards that majorly. And guys, even I want to go to this topic on a very root level ki what is the major cause. Like, do you have think about it? हमने अगर मैं अभी गूगल करने लग जाऊँ कि what are the causes of child labor, so इतने सारे reasons आ जाएंगे. But there are two major reasons which I have figured it out in my life. First is poverty and second is unemployment. So these two have impacted on a very major level, very weightage they both carries. यार मुझे ये चीज़ नहीं समझ में आती, कौन सा ऐसा पेरेंट्स है जो चाहेगा कि उसका बच्चा जाके काम करे और वो ना पढ़ाई करे. आई डोंट थिंक सो कि नो वन वांट्स दैट. मतलब हर किसी की पेरेंट्स की ये सोच तो कभी नहीं हो सकती. दे ऑलवेज वांट देयर चाइल्ड टू बी ब्राइट एंड सारी चीज़ें हो, बट दे हैव टू डू दैट just because of the poverty things and just because they don't have the finances to do that, which Varun have explained so well. Like so well he has explained that thing ki due to the finances thing they have to go like this. So we have to figure it out. हमें child labor से ज़्यादा इस चीज़ पे फिगर आउट करना पड़ेगा कि हाउ वी कैन हेल्प देम आउट, कि इस पॉवर्टी की चीज़ों से लड़ने में हम कैसे मदद कर सकते हैं, राइट. सो एंड सेकंड आई रेज्ड अ पॉइंट विच इज़ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. So cause we have to run those programs जिनके through we will give jobs or work to their parents, so that if their parents are earning, so of course they will not send their childs to these works, and they will not be able they will able to raise their child a good manner, right. So we have to work on these two things. So I would like to tell you a few points also which we can do to just help them out. So first, the point I raised is poverty. So in this, what we can do is ki, of course, we can support their parents so that they can earn a good they can earn a decent, I would not good, then decent income and the food security. Like मैं तो ये मानती हूँ यार कि अगर किसी इंसान के पास फूड भी पहुंच रहा है ना, एटलीस्ट उसको खाने के लिए नहीं सोचना पड़ेगा कि अरे मेरे पास मतलब खाने के लिए नहीं है समथिंग. सो इफ वी आर एबल, लाइक इफ वी एज लाइक आई डोंट नो, मतलब गवर्नमेंट पे तो मैं इतना ज़्यादा वो करती नहीं हूँ कि गवर्नमेंट विल आई जस्ट थिंक अबाउट माई सेल्फ कि लाइक अगर हम ही अपने सोसाइटी में, अपने आसपास की सोसाइटी में ही एटलीस्ट ये मेक श्योर कर लें कि जो भी लोग हैं जिनको फूड के लिए प्रॉब्लम है, एटलीस्ट वो फूड के लिए तो प्रॉब्लम ना फेस करें. ठीक है, अर्निंग इज अनदर थिंग, बट एटलीस्ट दे विल नॉट फेस द प्रॉब्लम फॉर ईटिंग, कि उन्हें ये तो ना सोचना पड़े कि आज खा के सो पाएंगे या नहीं, right. So that is also a thing which I want. Second is कि if we can support few agriculture families, क्योंकि ज़्यादातर मेजर पार्ट चाइल्ड लेबर का एग्रीकल्चर साइड में ही जाता है, right. So if we can develop some technologies for them and develop agriculture को थोड़ा हम support करने लग जाएं और थोड़ा सा अपना mind उस तरफ devote कर दें, तो I believe कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा support मिलेगा through the agriculture things. And third point which I want to say is making education necessary. अब इसमें एजुकेशन नेसेसरी में एक पॉइंट बहुत ज़रूरी आता है, विच इज़ कि आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि हर बच्चे को ना प्रॉपर एजुकेशन दी जाए जो एवरीवन इज़ गेटिंग, मतलब हर जो स्कूल वाला बच्चा ले रहा है, बट एटलीस्ट बेसिक लर्निंग, सो दैट कि एटलीस्ट द पर्सन नोज कि ये क्या होता है. जो बेसिक लर्निंग इन द सेंस कि आप उसको मैथमेटिकल थिंग्स और जो इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है जो हमारे रियल लाइफ में हेल्प करेंगे. सी आई विल बी वेरी फ्रैंक ओवर हियर, वर्किंग इन 2 years विद द एजुकेशन सेक्टर, आई न्यू इट कि जो हमें पढ़ाया जाता है, जो बुक्स लिटरेचर और ये सब तो वैसे भी काम नहीं आने हमारी लाइफ में, राइट. बट इफ यू विल टेल अ बेसिक थिंग्स, अब इफ आई टॉक अबाउट मैत्री, देविका, अस लाइक द यंग यूथ, अगर हम अपने संडेज में, वीकेंड्स में थोड़ा बहुत इनिशिएटिव लेके उन बच्चों को थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ा दे, तो एटलीस्ट दे नो द व्हाट इज द बेसिक लर्निंग, और उस बेसिक लर्निंग से दे विल बी एबल टू ग्रैब अ स्मॉल स्मॉल जॉब्स, और एटलीस्ट वो उस लेवल तक का काम कर पाएंगे. एंड फोर्थ थिंग आई वांट टू टेल यू इज कि दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम विच इज अ डेट. आई हैव सीन इन माई सोसाइटी, लाइक अ प्रिविलेज सोसाइटी, मैंने ये चीज़ देखी है. जो पोवर्टी एंड अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट बोली वो तो फिर भी थोड़े रूरल एरियाज में चला जाता है, डेट. इसमें मैं थोड़ा सा पेरेंट्स का फॉल्ट मानती हूँ, मतलब थोड़ा सा कि हम एज अ एल्डर्स, मतलब यंग जो होते हैं उनमें तो इतना, हम तो बच्चे हैं, राइट. बट द एल्डर्स, उनको थोड़ा सा अपने फाइनेंसेस का भी ध्यान रखना चाहिए. आई हैव सीन, आई वांट टू शेयर दिस इंसिडेंट विद यू ऑल. It's one of the relatives, you can say, or something. I have seen that they have a very good business, and I don't know for that whatever the reason is, they're not able to manage their finances and they got bankrupt or something, right? And they earlier the students are in very good school or something, and after that they will be like, no, doing a work in factories or something. So of course our elders also should need to think about the finances well. तो हमें थोड़ी सी finances की भी knowledge देनी चाहिए, just because बच्चे के ऊपर ना पेरेंट्स का बहुत बड़ा रोल होता है. इफ द पेरेंट्स हैव नॉट टेकन अप द गुड डिसीजंस, ऑफ कोर्स द बच्चा कैन, उस पे बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्ट पड़ेगा, उसकी हेल्थ, मेंटल हेल्थ, प्लस उसकी लाइफ इज नाउ आई स्पॉइल्ड, आई वुड से. जो एंड ऑफ कोर्स आई वुड से कि उसके बारे में जब मैं सोचती हूँ स्टूडेंट के बारे में कि अर्लियर ही वाज इन अ वेरी गुड स्कूल एंड नाउ ही इज डूइंग अ वर्क इन फैक्ट्री. सो इट्स अ वेरी ड्रास्टिक, मतलब कैसे उसने इस चीज़ को हैंडल किया होगा, हाउ ही हैंडल्ड हिमसेल्फ और हर सेल्फ, राइट? सो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो अ थिंग कि हमें थोड़ा सा डेट साइड पे भी अपना ध्यान देना चाहिए कि पेरेंट्स को मेजरली कि व्हाट दे आर डूइंग विद देयर फाइनेंसेस, कि एटलीस्ट उन पे बच्चे डिपेंडेंट हैं उनके. So that's the things, and of course last we will end up this uh, thing with one or two points which I want to tell you, which is कि अगर यार आप कहीं पे भी शॉप पे जाते हो, अवेयरनेस फैलाना इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ठीक है? सो इफ़ वी विल गो फॉर एनी बाइंग फॉर एनी मटेरियल और शॉप और समथिंग, go and tell them कि आर like whatever products you have are उसमें, वरुण ने रेज किया था पॉइंट कि स्टूडेंट उसमें चाइल्ड लेबर इंक्लूडेड है या नहीं. I know they don't have the answer for this. उनके पास नहीं होगा because they don't know about it. They don't have, उनके माइंड में भी थॉट नहीं आया होगा, बट एटलीस्ट उन्हें ये लगेगा कि जो लोग हैं वो इस बारे में सोचते हैं, उनके माइंड में एक पॉइंट तो ज़रूर जाएगा, राइट? सो दीज आर द थिंग्स विच वी कैन डू टू मेक देम अवेयर. एंड ऑफ कोर्स आई वुड लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट ईच वन ऑफ यू हु इज़ लिसनिंग अस, go and support the NGOs like this, Sarkari School, and there are so many NGOs who do these things. So please initiate karo unke saath, and please make the change in this life. And of course, if we will do things, then we are only able to make the change. Yes, guys, and that's it. Like from my end, and I would like to wrap up this thing with this thought. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was truly enlightening, and you came up with many points that how to strike that issue throughout various sites. And right, we being just as an individual, how can we contribute to this issue? But I would love to hear from Varun sir that you said that you rescue children, like you have rescued around 150 children, like from Delhi area only. So after rescuing, how do you make sure that children doesn't go back to labor? Because we once we rescue, okay, we can't economically uplift them or so, but like how does that rehabilitation process go?
So, every state has their own set of activities, and every state has their own set of rules that they get implemented. Okay. So, Juvenile Justice Act, Child Labor Act, they all have their own set of rules that they should implement. So, I was just talking about Delhi that in this season, that is from April till June, July, we rescued around 130, 150 close to children. And all across country, we have rescued 5,000 children in just first quarter of this financial year. And additionally, I am not talking about those children who are rescued during the transit. So there are children who have been brought from multiple pockets of this country, that is specifically from the northeastern part, that and also Jharkhand, UP, and Bihar, where these children are brought from multiple pockets, and then have been put into the so-called metropolitan cities, where they can put onto the work. So the whole question, I'll come to the rehabilitation part. Why I'm talking about this is that is there is a demand which is there, right? Somebody is demanding that kind of a workforce from some part of the country, and why that only some part of the country has to fulfill the demand which has been there. So what do we do when we rescue those children? Firstly, as rightly Nancy ma'am has said, that we need to give counseling to those children. How do we give those counseling to the children? Because the whole entire work that we have to do is with the government, and the officials and the persons those are there with the government, are they so trained well that they know how to be child friendly to a child in a ways to understand that what has he she gone through to, or what was his, she has the background that she has been forced to work, right? And there are circumstantial issues as well, where put these children to the work and then make these children work day in and out for at least 16 hours, 17 hours a day. And sleeping conditions and the food nutrition conditions, we just forget about it, right? When I deep down look into the society and also the larger part of this country, then I come to know that there are, two different communities that we are working. One is India and other is the Hindustan. So and then we have Netflix, right? And on to Netflix, there is a content like Archie's, which is coming out. Indian version of Archie's. Now, how much do we have to get white? How much do we have to look like a Western person, like a West? How much are we going to pretend to be like that? How much are we going to live that American dream where we have a big apartment and then a big of a 5 BHK, five room apartment and then a car, and what are we going to achieve? What is that we are going to look like where a child is still working at 16 hours a day? I rescued a child when that child was trafficked from Bihar, and that child was sold for 2 lakh rupees. And the child was in Haryana. Right now, that whole buying and selling is still happening. What is that few group of people which say that the 70-80% of our country is still in rural India? What is that population? What is their exposure level? Where are we heading towards is altogether a different ballgame. So coming back to the basic question of how do we rehabilitate, as I'll again retaliate by saying that as I shared earlier, that we have the bestest of the law. Bonded labor, if a child has been declared as a bonded labor, what we believe is that every child is a bonded labor. So we advocate with the government saying that please declare this child as a bonded labor so that the release certificate can be issued, and then the child will be eligible for the central sector scheme. The central sector scheme is the scheme which which is come up by the center, which has certain norms. What would be the rehabilitation aspect that has to be assured? That has always been there with the center. That is, it is for anybody and everybody's usage. Also, with that mandate, a state should also have their own victim compensation scheme. Every child who comes in, who is the victim of of a crime, that child is a victim. This is what basic understanding we have to understand. We also have to understand that child labor is a crime. POXO, child rights violation, any form of a child rights violation is a crime. Petty theft is also a crime. आपके घर से अगर आपको मान लो कोई बॉटल भी लेके गया तो वो भी क्राइम ही है, तो उसको उसी तरह से देखा जाए. कोई क्राइम छोटा बड़ा नहीं होता. हाँ, उसकी इंटेंसिटी होती है, खून करना, मर्डर होना, या फिर सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट, रेप जैसी चीजें जो हो रही है आजकल, वो उसकी इंटेंसिटी है. उसकी 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 तरफ हमारा विशेष ध्यान देना जरूरी है, क्योंकि ऐसे भी एलिमेंट्स है. सो वी कैन नॉट डू अवे विद दैट. सो आपके सेंट्रल सेक्टर स्कीम्स जो है वो डिफाइन करता है कि हर एक्ट के हिसाब से आपको कितना कंपनसेशन मिलेगा या फिर क्या आपका रिहैबिलिटेशन का एस्पेक्ट होगा. सो वी एडवोकेट फॉर दैट. We also advocate for the state-driven victim compensation scheme. If it is not there, then we ask them to draft it. If a child has been rescued, that child is eligible for central sector scheme, that child is eligible for chief minister's schemes, welfare scheme, the child is eligible for education as per right to education, the child is eligible for Skill India, the child is eligible for the all, and his family is eligible for MG Narega, the child family is eligible for housing scheme, health scheme, anything and everything is eligible, because that child is in need of care and protection. All those children who don't commit crime are in the need of care and protection. The child who commits crime later on, after understanding the circumstances, also becomes the child in need of care and protection. So every child who is being violated. Every child matters, every childhood matters. Doesn't matter of what background that child is, doesn't matter what socio-economic background that child is. A child of a billionaire, his her childhood is also important. A child who is earning a rupee, a penny a day, his her childhood is also important. Gender doesn't matter. Nothing matters when it is a child, when his her childhood is there. Because childhood is very close to everybody's heart. Even though it's person, even though an adult who is at the age of the 60 has a fresh memory of what he was doing at the age of 5 and 10, 11 years old. So that's how that childhood is close to, and we have to ensure that the childhood is protected. Coming back to the rehabilitation, education, as I said, right to education as mandated if the child is below 14. If the child is above the age of 14, 15 years, then first has to be put into the bridge courses and then enroll back to the school. Try to look for these civil society organizations or for the civilians who can provide the sponsorship programs to the children so that the child could be into the schools, can enjoy the schools. Advocate with the district magistrate offices where their family can be put to the livelihood schemes, can be linked to the livelihood schemes. They can given some kind of a livelihoods trainings. They can provided with some skill based trainings so that they can earn or they can be party to some sustainable employment. That is something which is required. So, what is the eligibility when the child has been rescued from the early child labor? One is central sector scheme if declared as bonded. For how many days was that child working? The calculation of back wages has been done by the labor department. So, if say if a child was working for a year, as per the minimum back wages, as per the minimum wages of that particular state, the child is eligible for that much amount of money. So that can be used for the sustainability of that child and to also earn the interest out of that money and then can continue his or her education. So this is the monetary kind of an, benefit and support that has been available for the child.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Right.
much. We would love to have heard more from all of you, but we have our own time constraints, and as well as we have taken a lot of your time as well.
No worries.
We would love to wrap up the session, but before winding up, I would really like to ask, in short, from all of you, how did you feel throughout this session, and any suggestions for us?
Hello.
Yeah,
Am I audible? Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So, Mitri, of course, this conference is very well needed, first of all, and you guys have done a great job in organizing everything. So, of course, claps for you also, right? And of course, it was a very much needed action, and I would suggest please do these type of conferences. And yeah, this is very much needed, and I really love to be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nisha.
Wonderful. You guys should take this up more often and at a larger scale. It's a great initiative. It's good to see that all our young faces who are coming together and trying to, advocate for children, which is a dire need right now. And let's come together and probably next time we should organize a rally and march to India Gate in demanding something that will make sure that the voices of our government will hear it and adopt it for the betterment of the child. All the best and good work. Keep it up, sir.
Yes, so again, as Nisha and Varun sir have already put in such beautiful words, thank you for inviting us. And it has been really great. And fortunately, I could listen to all the other panels as well. So, right from the inaugural sessions, it was really great understanding and, some of the academic literature facts and, concepts and some of the arguments were very well placed in by the members of the other panels and my now co-panelists as well. So, thank you again. And I hope that we come forward with such initiatives again in near future in other topics as well as the overarching vision that we have for the enlightened children of the new India. Thank you again for inviting me for the conference.
At last, thank you to everyone. Thank you to my co panelists, to the volunteers for organizing such a wonderful initiative. What I wanted to say at last is कि हमें ये इन फ्यूचर करते रहना चाहिए, जैसे कि वरुण जी ने कहा कि बहुत छोटी चीज़ों से ही बहुत बड़ी चीज़ें स्टार्ट होती हैं. तो अगर हम पहला कदम हमने बढ़ा लिया डिस्कशन की तरफ, तो आगे हम मिरेकल्स देखेंगे होते हुए. बस मुझे यही कहना है. थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Last but not the least, under the conference, we hosted an article writing competition with a myriad of topics. And we have Adya here with us today. She had one of the top articles. I mean, we selected 10 articles, and she had an article among the top. So, we would really request Adya to come here and in very brief because we are very short on time. So if you can, in very brief, talk about your article.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Adya Upasana Rautrai from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. First of all, I am grateful to Sarkari School and We Citizen Foundation for organizing today's conference and listening to the panel and the speakers. I feel that we are actually making an attempt here towards improving the lives of children in our society. Now, my article is titled Child Trafficking a Heinous Crime. So, during my graduation, while going to college every day, I used to come across this particular traffic signal where there were little children who used to perform some act and selling flowers and were asking for money in return. Now it is said that we all know that children are the future of a nation, and it is society who act as the safeguarding agency for these children. However, looking those children at that signal, it makes me wonder whether society is really successful in safeguarding those children. Now, child trafficking is one such heinous crime that puts a tragic end to childhood of millions of children, pushing them into a vicious cycle of exploitation. While I was writing the article, I came to know that two out of every three child victim to trafficking are girls, in fact, who end up being dragged into sex business, flesh trade, forced servitude. And in fact, one of the celebrated Marvel superheroes, Natasha Romanoff, was herself a victim to child trafficking as a child. During the recent COVID 19 pandemic, also, when the countries were under a lockdown and there was very limited access to law enforcement and agencies, child labor rose to 160 million. Looking at all those acts and laws that have been taken by government and international organization in recent years and decades, it seems that we do not lack laws in number. What we actually lack here is a timely implementation of those laws. In conclusion, I learned that in today's world, where we are moving towards a world where countries from time and again have been facing natural disasters, wars, and conflict, millions of people getting displaced, nearly 30% of those displaced people are children, making them the maximum vulnerable group towards trafficking. So it thus becomes an urgent need of our to ensure that a child trafficking is clearly defined in our laws, and at the same time the laws should also evolve with the evolving nature of crime. Like the government should also be focusing on tracing the network of child trafficking that take place by misusing of technology and social media platform. B. The laws should also have stringent form of punishment against trafficking of children, and at the same time should also be a scope for timely response and rehabilitation to the children who are victim to trafficking. And C. Preventive steps like awareness and educating children and the masses on the crime of trafficking, like whom to report, where to seek help when facing such incidences. Beside this, I strongly believe that each child is a wonderful with potentiality to achieve unimaginable heights, and with right support and guidance, they can actually maneuver our future into better direction. It is our responsibility to nurture them with love, care, and attention, and at same time our laws and our actions should ensure that their complete safety, and at the same time also make sure that the shackles of heinous crime like trafficking never reach our children. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adya. It's remarkable, your research article. We wish you luck for more such good work in future. So to officially wrap up this session, I would like to invite Meenakshi for a short and crisp thank you note.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Meenakshi, a content writer at Sarkari School. I consider myself very lucky that I got the opportunity to propose this vote of thanks on behalf of the organization. First of all, I wish to express my gratitude to our guest speakers. Thank you so much, Varun Otari sir, for sharing your immense knowledge with us. I bet many of us have taken notes from it. Thank you so much, Kaki Likhita ma'am, for such an inspiring speech to enlighten all of us. Thank you so much, Nancy Srivasta ma'am, for introducing us to a different perspective on child labor. We are really honored by your presence. And thank you so much, Nisha Pal ma'am, for sharing your valuable and effective words with us. We are really grateful to hear you. Also, I would like to thank the article writer Adya for sharing your wonderful views with us. Next, I would like to thank Abhishek Ranjan sir, the founder of this organization, for being the foundation of this event.
So sorry, she may be facing a network glitch. I'll complete. So once again, I would like to thank everyone who has worked hard to organize the event, and lastly, to our wonderful audience for joining us from different platforms. You all added 5 stars to this conference, and I believe you learned a lot, and it was really insightful how we tackled various aspects of this child labor, and this is such a grave issue, and I feel that next coming years India would do a lot better than it's doing now. I would request you to all attend the other ongoing panels too. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.